Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in to this video today. If you are a returning subscriber and you've been with me on this journey, then of course you're welcome back. If you are new to the channel or you've just joined, you're a new subscriber, then welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. This channel is called A Journey of Faith, and it's basically a channel where I just come and share some of the things that I'm learning on my journey of faith as I walk this journey with God. And on this channel, you can expect to hear content about faith, relationships, and lifestyle. So if any of that interests you, if any of that is something that you are passionate about, then do make sure that you join the family. Click on the subscribe button below. It will be amazing to have you here with me on the journey. And of course, if you enjoy this video, if it blesses you, then make sure that you like it and make sure that you share it with somebody else. So guys, let's get into today's video. I'm excited about this one. If you've been following the channel, you will know that we've started a series this month, which is in relation to emotional health and wellness. So last week we spoke about prioritizing our emotional health in this season. And this week, I want us to just talk about boundaries and just kind of delve in a bit deeper into this topic, because I really believe that boundaries is one of those things that help us to prioritize our emotional health. So without boundaries, essentially you are like a man without walls, which is just allowing anything in to your soul, and we do not want to be those people. Hallelujah, amen. So I'm going to be sharing a few ways that we can actually just start to set healthy boundaries, or if you're already setting healthy boundaries, ways that you can really just improve on those boundaries and just know what you're allowing in and what shouldn't be coming in to your emotional space. So before that, I just want to quickly define what a boundary is, which I'm sure we all know. But a boundary essentially is a limit. It's basically the point for which you're saying something goes up to, so where something ends and essentially where something else begins. So in terms of a physical boundary, we all are familiar with this when it comes to our homes. We all have doors and we all have locks on our doors, hopefully. And we basically are guards, and we're basically people who stand there and we're saying, yes, you can come into my house, or no, you cannot come into my house. So this is the same way when it comes to emotional boundaries. We are to be guards, to guard our hearts, and to basically be mindful of what we are allowing in to our soul and the things that we are saying, no, you are not going to come in, I am keeping you out. So that's the best way I think I can describe an emotional boundary and kind of like where this video is going to go. So why are boundaries important? In terms of this video, I think two reasons why boundaries are really important. One reason is because they help you to know what to say yes to and what to say no to. But on the other hand as well, one thing that I've learned is that when we don't set healthy boundaries, we continually say yes to things that maybe we should be saying no to. And then eventually we find ourselves either weary, resentful, or even worse, burnt out. And that is definitely not something that we want, right? So those are things that can kind of show up when we don't have boundaries in our life and we constantly allow everything and anything inside. So I'm now going to go into just some ways that we can actually start to set healthy boundaries. And the number one thing that I will just touch upon is the importance of knowing your boundaries. There's no point of me talking about, communicating your boundaries or how to start to walk in your boundaries if you don't even know what your boundaries are. There are so many people that they don't even have boundaries within themselves, but they expect other people to respect their boundaries. Self-awareness is so important when it comes to this, because as you become self-aware, and I've spoken about this so many times on the channel, but it's such a key point that when you're self-aware, you're able to, for yourself, know what your boundaries are. Not the boundaries that other people have set for you, not the boundaries that others have put upon you, but those boundaries that you have. Now, obviously, as a Christian, there are certain boundaries that, we go by, but even just knowing the boundaries that you stand by is so key. So that's number one, just knowing what your boundaries are, knowing what you accept, knowing what your limit is, knowing how far you will go with certain things, and just being very assured of that. Number two is, now that you know your boundaries, you know what you're willing to accept, you know what you're not willing to accept, now it's time to learn to communicate your boundaries. So sometimes people are kind of scared about this point. It's kind of like, but if I tell them my boundaries, then they're not going to love me anymore. Or if I tell them my boundaries, they might leave me. Or if I tell them my boundaries, maybe they're not going to want to stick around, or maybe they're going to start distancing themselves away. One thing that I have learned about boundaries is that boundaries are actually so important for our relationships. When we don't have boundaries in our relationships, it's actually more harmful to the relationship than it does good. Sometimes we think that having boundaries will actually ruin the relationship, but the truth is that not having boundaries is ruining your relationship. So having boundaries, whether that's in our relationships, communicating those boundaries, maybe boundaries in the workplace, communicating those boundaries, or maybe boundaries when it comes to things such as your assignment or things that you're doing in terms of your purpose and your passion. So that's number 2. Literally being able to communicate what your boundary is to other people, and basically doing that from a place of respect. Sometimes communication could even be actually asking for help, because sometimes some of us don't know how to ask for help. And I'll be transparent, guys, that used to be me. I never used to know how to say that I need help. But as I've kind of just continued to walk on this journey, I've realized that asking for help is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. And when we're not able to ask for help, that's actually a sign of something underneath that needs to be dealt with. So being able to communicate as well when you need help is another area of being able to set healthy boundaries. The next one is the importance of taking the time to grow in time management. So I think that's an area that I think we can all do better in. Do better every day, guys. Because time management is one of those things that if you are not in control of your time, or if you're not managing your time well, then other people will try to manage your time for you. So that's another key one as well. Being able to say that, okay, this is the time that I have. Even putting boundaries around your time and saying, this is the amount of time that I'm willing to give. And after I've given that amount of time, that's it. Now, obviously, guys, this is not to say that we shouldn't, be excellent and, go beyond the limits and go the extra mile. No, just being able to manage our time well and being aware of the way that we are spending our time. Because like they say, once time has gone, that is something that you cannot get back. So being wise with the way we spend our time is also another way that we can set healthy boundaries, because it's essentially us saying that I am putting a boundary around my time and I am being aware and I am being a good steward over the way that I spend my time. The next one, which I kind of touched upon before, is to get to the root. One thing that I've learned is that sometimes the reason why we don't set healthy boundaries, or we don't know how to, is because there's a root issue that we're not dealing with. We're seeing the fruit, which might be people pleasing, it might be seeking the approval of others, but that's just fruit. And a lot of the time we actually have to take that time to get down to the root, to understand, why am I doing this? Why am I like this? Why am I people pleasing? Why is it that I'm constantly seeking the approval of others? Why is it that I don't set healthy boundaries? So that's something as well that, of course, a whole nother video can really be done on that topic. But in fact, I'm actually going to be doing another video on that in this series as well. So look out for that. But being able to get to the root of these issues and just really understand, like, why is it that I'm struggling with setting these healthy boundaries? For some people, you could have grown up in a household where constantly you were told it's bad to say no. Don't ever say no. Don't say no to an adult. And then you've grown up into adulthood with that same mentality and you are now scared to say no. Or there may be other things, which again, I don't want to touch upon because I'm going to talk about in another video, but there may be areas whereby you are constantly having a need to be needed, or you're constantly in a place whereby you just want to please people all the time and you neglect your own needs in the process. So getting to the root of that, of course, there is things like just taking it to God, asking the Holy Spirit to reveal these things and where it came from, therapy. These are all different things that can really help to get to the root. But getting to that root is so important, because if you don't get to the root, then you can't change the fruit. So that's that one, guys. Making sure that you get to the root and deal with any root issues that actually might be causing you to not set boundaries in your life. And then the last and final one is to just ask God for help. I know that it might seem so basic, it might seem so straightforward, or it might even just seem like, okay, you've just stated the obvious. But that's one thing that I've had to learn again, that I can't do this by myself. Again, sometimes there are root issues, things that you need to deal with under the surface in terms of why you're not able to set healthy boundaries. But getting to that point whereby you just ask for help and just say, God, I need help to be able to set healthy boundaries. And I really believe that He will lead you to the right people, the right resources, the right things that will actually help you learn to set boundaries. So I mentioned in a previous video the book called Boundaries, which again, I'll make sure that I link below. But that book by Cloud and Townsend is an amazing, amazing book to start with. They have literally a book of boundaries on a lot of things. Boundaries even in dating, boundaries in, with your children, boundaries in marriage. So yeah, I would definitely encourage you to pick up one of those books, and then also, walking along with someone else on that journey to really help you as you're walking, to be accountable as you're trying to set these boundaries. Because as you start to set boundaries in your life, not everyone's going to like it. Some people will actually, yes, leave, like I said at the beginning. Some people will actually kind of feel a certain way, like it's an attack towards them. But those are the type of people, a lot of the time, that they just probably need to go. They were very comfortable in you having a lack of boundaries. They were probably very comfortable with the fact that they could take advantage of the fact that you had no boundaries. So that's something obviously to be aware of as well, that not everyone's going to respond well with your boundaries. And that's why it's good to have accountability, especially if it's a situation where it's not really safe or a safe environment. You definitely want to walk that with somebody else. So I hope that those tips have helped, those ways on how we can set healthy boundaries. But just before I close, I just wanted to share something that I read from a book that I was reading. This was last year actually, but I really think that it depicts this whole point in terms of the importance of having boundaries, especially in the area of things like work, church, ministry, etc. So this is the analogy. There was basically a man who one day he went to God and he said to God, God, how are you doing? I'm here, I'm available. What do you want me to do for you today? God basically said, I'm going to send you on an assignment. So God basically said that he should take a wagon, and he put 3 stones in that wagon and he told him to take it to the top of a hill. So the man was joyful, he was happy, he was excited that God gave him a task to do, that God gave him an assignment, and he started to take it along with him as he started going onto the top of the hill. As he was going to the top of the hill, he saw one of his friends, and his friends basically said to him, oh bro, like, can you help me out? I can see that you're going towards the hill. Can you help me take this to the top of the hill as you're going? So he agreed and said, yes, of course, I will help you take it. And he carried on his journey. As he was going, he started to realize that the wagon that he was taking was starting to become a little bit heavier, but he kept on going anyway. And as he kept on going along on his journey, more people kept on seeing him and asking him to take their load up to the top of the hill with him. And each time he kept saying yes, no boundaries, right? It got to a point where the man started to realize that he could no longer push the wagon up the hill because it became so heavy for him to push. So he got to a point, he started to complain. He started to get resentful. He started to get weary. He started to just not enjoy the assignment that God had sent him to do. Why? Because he had taken on so many different loads that were not actually his own. So he called out to God and he said, God, what's going on? You told me to do this assignment. You told me to do this task. Why is it so heavy? Why is it so burdensome? And God started to make him realize that he was taking on more than God had given him, that he hadn't had boundaries, and he was taking on other people's loads that he was never supposed to take on. So guys, I just use this analogy just as a way, again, to just wrap up this point about boundaries. And I think it's an amazing depiction of just how important it is for us to know what we're saying yes to and what we're saying no to. Imagine God giving you an assignment, but because maybe you're a people pleaser or you're so focused on wanting to help everybody else that you're not even able to fulfill your assignment because you're carrying everybody else's load. So I just use that to wrap this video up, to just again say, guys, don't forget, it's so important if you want to be healthy in your emotional life, to learn to set boundaries, to learn what to say yes to and what to say no to. And just to conclude as well, just remember that you cannot pour out of an empty cup. So even as you pour out to others, yes, there are some things you will say yes to, but also remember to take that time to pour back into yourself. So I hope you have been blessed by today's video. If you've liked it, of course, do not forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to share it with a friend and another friend, and then also make sure you go back and watch the previous video in this series if you haven't already. Thank you guys for tuning in. Love you guys so much, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video of the series by God's grace. Peace out and God bless.